Call the meeting to order at 7:02. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Can I have a motion to add to the agenda John McKenzie regarding the sidewalks?
Make a motion to add John McKenzie's sidewalk ordinance proposal.
Second.
Motion by Trish, second by Bob. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0-0. Thank you. Okay. Can I have is there any public comment? Public comment? Public comment going 3 times. No public comment. Public comment is closed. Approval of the minutes from the January 6th regular meeting. Motion by Scott, second by Al. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Abstain.
Chair votes aye. Please note Bob Finley's abstention. Motion carries 5-0-1. Appointments. Like to, into your file, you'll see the list of appointments. There's an appointment for the police commissioners. Commissioner Kulas, Attorney Kulas, longtime Seymour resident, Seymour attorney, is retired from the police commissioners. He gave his notice last Wednesday. Right? We're going to appoint Thomas LaPaglia, who to the police commissioners, replacing Steve Kulas. His appointment runs until 12/6/2027, finishing out Mr. Kulas's term.
Make a motion to appoint Tom.
Motion by Trish.
Second.
Second by Phil. Sorry. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. So that's that. Tax refund and abatement. In your packet, you will see the list of tax refunds and abatements. If I can find it. The check register. I have the check registry. I don't have the appointments, but I'm sure it's in there. Tax abatement.
You mean the tax payment, right?
Tax abatement.
Not the tax abatement. We have the check registries. Do you have the tax abatements right there? That's it. All right. Well, the tax abatements will wait until the February 2nd meeting. Okay. Correspondences, in your packet, you'll see a letter from John Selma stepping down from the Seymour Parade and Events Committee, as well as a letter from Stephen Kulas resigning from the Seymour Police Commissioners. Discussion and possible item number 8, discussion, we'll add John McKenzie for the sidewalks. John, are you ready?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. I'll keep this short, very short.
Thank you.
I know it's been discussed at a previous meeting regarding sidewalks, since we're waist deep in winter with a possible another storm coming this weekend. So, the town recognizes that winter weather events vary in severity and duration, and that property owners may face legitimate challenges in clearing sidewalks promptly. Active enforcement following the cessation of a storm shall prioritize complaints submitted to the code compliance officer. This ordinance amendment memorandum establishes a consistent, reasonable, and safety-focused approach to the town of Seymour and implementing concise enforcement language of section 14-6, removal of ice and snow from sidewalks. The goal is to promote pedestrian safety while encouraging cooperation and compliance by property owners. Additionally, I have included, because it was discussed at a previous ordinance committee meeting regarding sidewalks during the growing season. I know we're not there yet, but that language had been edited and amended to coincide what the suggestions were by the board. So what I presented to you is a detailed change of the ordinance, and to help further define and clean up some of the language, and also increase the or propose to increase the fines if it gets to that point.
On the reasonable efforts part, is there a clarification of what would be considered reasonable? Because that's where it gets a little gray.
No, I understand. No, I understand. So, you know, as far as the, are you referring to the reasonable effort standard?
Yeah.
It's generic. So the goal is to enforce based on complaints only, not active enforcement on my part, driving around town and being the sidewalk police,
Right.
because that would be excessively cumbersome.
I think the only thing that helps that is just to put some examples of what a reasonable effort would be considered. Because that, you're in that, somebody goes out, pushes a little bit of snow.
Sure.
Is that a reasonable, you know?
Sure. Well, in the new language, which is the should be page 3 and 4, the sidewalk ordinance proposal, new language. In section E of that,
Yep.
that gives the full description. So hopefully that clarifies what you're asking.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's fine. Yep.
So with that, if I could, is people,
References.
there was a couple of sidewalks where just had a shovel width path done on the sidewalk. And that is not really clearing the sidewalk. So we wanted to make sure that the width of the sidewalk from end to end is clear as it should be, because that is
To
the
their full
sidewalk.
width.
And
Yeah, I
not
do
putting
have
the
that.
snow in the
I do
road.
have that
And not
fully
putting the
defined.
snow
It says it'll be clear to their full width.
Yeah, should be, because that's ADA compliant, so
Yeah.
that is why that's there.
And that was my intention for
I'm sure
that.
it was.
Additionally, I did speak with Fire Marshal Willis regarding fire hydrants, and there is a fire code, state fire code, referring to a 36-inch clear space in all directions for fire hydrants for snow removal.
Is that, so I'm just reading through this now.
Sure.
Is that only when the fire hydrant is on or adjacent to a sidewalk? Because there's a lot of fire hydrants that are in people's yards.
Yes.
not- Okay.
So are we gonna make it the people's responsibility with the fire hydrants in their yard to clear said fire hydrants as well?
I would say yes, based on conversations with Marshal Willis.
It's gotta refresh my memory. Back in the day, I feel so old when I say that. Wasn't it the firefighters that would, the younger firefighters would go out and clear the fire hydrants?
Yeah, typically after major storms, they would put crews together to go out and make sure the fire hydrants were cleared. I haven't seen that done.
Well, we
but
really haven't had
a lot of
snow. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So,
I never
I mean,
knew
this
that.
one,
Yeah.
this one
I have one in
preclude
my
people
yard, I
from
always
going
do
out
it.
and doing that. But there's a lot of hydrants that don't get cleared, without somebody going out and doing that.
Is,
Alright.
is the, if we had junior members of the fire department go out and clean around the fire hydrants, does that give them, do they get credit, time credit or anything for that nature, or it's just?
That would be a question for the,
They do take roll call, you know, they'll fill out a sheet if they're out doing that, because it's a record of
doing something. Yeah.
performing duties. So you wanna have that record, God forbid anything happens, that somebody needs, a workers' comp claim or something like that. So there would be a record of it.
I sort of have mixed feelings on that.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
As it stands, if somebody got hurt on the sidewalk, wait for town council's eyes to come up. If somebody got hurt on the sidewalk and the owner of the owner of the property that the sidewalk was in front of didn't clear it, they're responsible for it? If now we put in an ordinance, say that the town was notified that that wasn't done, and we didn't get it done, and somebody got hurt, are we also opening ourselves up to liability in that situation? You were notified about it, but nothing further was done from the notification. I'm just saying from a time point of view, you know what I mean? And we got it this morning, and we didn't get out there, but can we open ourselves up to liability? Sorry.
Let me just say this, will it be sidewalk claims against the town? Yeah. There are sidewalk claims against the town now. There'll be sidewalk claims against the town tomorrow. If this ordinance passes, there'll be sidewalk claims the day after tomorrow. That's sort of the way it goes. Now, there may be some things that could be done to try to minimize that risk. I have to take a look at, I would want to take a look at recent case law, but you might find it unpalatable to put the burden the way it would have to be done on homeowners. So usually, it becomes a mix when it comes to sidewalk claims. Homeowners get sued, property owners get sued, town typically gets sued. Town has something called, 13A 149, which is, the sole proximate cause statute for the state of Connecticut that sometimes comes into play. And, is a pretty strong tool to be able to defend the accused. So that's a lawyer's answer to your question.
Really wasn't an answer, but okay.
So let's rephrase this, Rich.
Well,
In-
at the minimum, I'd like to read it, and then pros and cons. I mean, this is, I mean, is it the wish that we go right now? That's the,
That wasn't my intent. This is just a draft.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right, thank you.
I'm still gonna go. As a legal opinion, is this, I mean, I understand why we're doing this, and it was a good question. Your legal opinion, is it smart to do this? Thank you.
I'll report back to you. Maybe I'll give you another option.
One of the discussions that was had with myself, Jim Baldwin, Public Works, and PD Brass regarding the fine. And the concern was if the fine was too low and if Public Works were to clear sidewalks, it could be taken advantage of
We
By
don't
the-
want to get into that.
by residents.
Of
So,
course, costs $20 for the fine, it's gonna cost you $20 to have somebody shovel it.
20.
Just have Public Works go out and do it.
right.
But also the point would have to be that we have to get the sidewalks cleared. So do we say immediately that if it's not done in whatever we define as a reasonable amount of time, Public Works is gonna go do it so that we don't have a hazard, which would be, you know, getting input from town council about our liability, does that suffice?
Are you trying to, if I may, Madam First Selectman?
Go ahead.
If I may ask, John, are you trying to, put this burden, solely on, are you trying to put this burden solely on the property owners?
Yes.
You are, that's the intent.
Residential and commercial. This isn't directly towards residential.
And the attachment, to your memo, 14-6.1, removal license, no sidewalks. Is this a new ordinance that you're proposing?
It is the existing with added language.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
And the added language is where?
I don't have the corrections in this draft.
Send me a
I
revised-
can provide that, 100%.
And I would note, when I was referring, giving you my lawyer's answer before, if you look at the ordinance, subpart B refers to section 13A 149 of the Connecticut General Statutes, which is exactly what it is now. It's what they call sole proximate clause, and it provides a great defense to municipalities. That's why you see so few sidewalk claims, plaintiffs winning sidewalk claims against a municipality. In all the years we've been at this, can you think of one that I've reported?
No, I know Johnny Birch and I got Sheldon on one, on a motion for summary judgment, using that exact statute.
13A 140.
Yes, sir.
What about properties that abut state roads and properties that don't have physical sidewalks in front of them?
Then you don't have to we went through this last week,
So
so we
side-
don't
right.
shovel.
So,
We
so,
don't shovel.
so you don't have, there's no liability there, right?
No.
Because there's no physical sidewalk.
Right.
There was, in our meeting, there was a discussion with Public Works regarding a particular street with a sidewalk that abuts state property. And
Was it my street?
You
No.
don't have sidewalks on your street,
Some parts
Yeah.
we do,
on some parts.
yeah. But some parts don't.
Give Phil a
But
sidewalk, he
changing
wants to
times,
shovel.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of pedestrian traffic, a lot
Closer
more than
join
when
the
I first
brigade.
moved there. I was a
Sure.
kid.
The brigade of
Do you want a
kids.
sidewalk though?
I called the state, I was gonna foot
I
the
was
bill.
joking.
It was ungodly how much I had to put down. Yes, I do want a sidewalk, please.
They're very expensive, I heard.
Section B is in the existing ordinance, so that is not new.
Correct.
That's the section I was referring to.
Correct.
What kind of consideration is given to disabled or elderly people who are unable to take care of the sidewalk on their own?
So that was discussed as well. I think the Snow Brigade is
Yep.
a great option, to help those in need. I had put together last week, I think you have it in your packets there with the little pretty blue, if you wanna call it pretty. I put that together, last week, just as a courtesy for what we already have existing. That might be helpful.
We need to make sure residents have this in front of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I could tell you that the snow brigade was out this weekend, clearing a lot of sidewalks, driveways. Those kids, they do it 'cause they wanna do it. Bless them.
No, but to your point, Scott, is it's a phone call away for assistance. I think that's the biggest part, is open communication. And it can be difficult, if someone were to complain, I go out there and then I find out it's an elderly person, would I take steps to, get the snow brigade on board? Sure, 100%.
But it doesn't relieve them of their legal responsibility.
That is
Right.
correct.
And that would,
Cannot.
at that point, if you had to go out there, that would constitute their first warning?
Yes, so
Okay,
in this draft, I do have steps,
right.
before it gets to a potential fine. That's the
So,
last thing I think, any of us wanna do.
I think with the ordinance, the one thing that, you're terrific, but when you're no longer in the position. We want to make sure people coming in follow the same and have the same understanding. So that's, you know, I have a big heart for people who are elderly, disabled, and want to do these things and cannot.
Mhm.
So
Agreed.
that's my only hesitation, really.
I think we take one look at it, we'll send it over to Attorney Bertula, and then we'll get back to you for our February 2nd meeting.
Okay,
All right?
thank you.
Can I just
Good
ask
job,
one more-
though.
One more question,
Oh, go
if
ahead.
you don't mind. Let's just say you went out this past weekend, you issued a written warning to somebody, they took care of it. A storm coming up next weekend, they don't do anything, you have to go out again,
Start over again.
written warning and stuff like
Yes.
that, okay.
Each
Each storm.
Event-
Each
it's
event is a
individual,
new-
Okay,
Oh, okay. It's not a continuance.
it's not like you're building points,
correct.
okay.
It only works on your wampum card.
The only other thing that mentioned, you mentioned the standalone fire hydrants that aren't near a sidewalk. Somebody, I thought I heard.
So that might be a further discussion with Fire Marshal Willis. That's something that wasn't thought of or discussed, so
Yeah, I think.
Point. point taken.
Is that really not in writing anywhere, though? Because my understanding was always that we had to clear it.
It is,
And I have one
As
in
far
my
as I
yard,
know,
and
it's
I've
not.
always cleared it. That's why I'm asking, because
Yeah.
I was told we had to clear it.
Well, I mean, the fire
Same.
hydrant is in front of your house, it makes a good idea to clean it in case after there's a
That
fire.
doesn't mean people will.
That doesn't mean people do, no. I mean,
Not
there are
saying
people
I
that do.
regret cleaning it. It's the right thing to do, and I happily is not the right word, but I do it. But
Alex
I
should
did
do
think
it.
it was an obligation.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Exactly.
Alex should be doing it.
Well, he does now, because I got yelled at a number of times when people saw me shoveling and then called him and said, "Why is your wife shoveling?" So, yeah.
Just, can I just, one quick thing?
Absolutely.
Mrs. McKenzie, I gave you some kudos last meeting, and I looked around and you were gone. So,
I appreciate the kind words. I did hear it after the fact.
and I want to reiterate it again, I appreciate your respect and kindness as you go forth in your job. It's a shining example of excellence.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you, John, for all you do.
Appreciate it.
Bringing it to the next level. We appreciate that.
So you're not allowed to retire. That's the end of the story.
I'm sorry.
You're never allowed to retire.
I'll do my best.
Thank you, okay. Next on the agenda is
Thank
item
you.
number 8, discussion and possible action regarding the Bungay School Building Committee. A is an appointment of a co-chair. It was in our charge that we would set the chair and the co-chair, and we did not do it. So I would like to have a motion to make Fred Stanek the chair.
Make a motion to appoint Fred Stanek as the chairperson of the Bungay Building
Second.
Committee.
Thank you. Motion by Trish, second by Bob. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Co-chair would be Peter Kubik.
So moved.
Motion by Al Bruno,
Second.
second by Bob Finley. Discussion? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Next on the item is to empower the committee to seek 3 quotes to hire a firm for the completion of the Phase 1 environmental assessment in the amount not to exceed $5,000. If you remember, we did this back in 2024. We now have to redo this again.
So moved.
Motion by Scott
Second.
Andrews, second by Al Bruno. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Item number 9, discussion with Police Chief John Buccarati. He's going to update us on well, you have 2, update us on the Seymour Police Department and potential for dispatch transition for the Seymour Police Department.
Yes.
I will let you pick which one you want to do first.
So I'll do the state of the police department first.
Okay.
So, all right. So yeah, I'm up here for 2 things. First is the state of the police department. Thanks for having me, and I'm happy to give you an update of where we are and what we're doing. I'm happy to say that we're actually in a pretty good place right now at the police department. 2025 proved to be a little bit challenging with unexpected expected retirements. we had some personnel issues, some terminations, things of that nature. So we found ourselves short-staffed for a while. We have since remedied that. We now have 2 recruits on the road right now in FTO, 1 a lateral transfer, 1 just recently graduated. We have 4 more in the various academies, and we hope to be full staff again by September. So all those positions we had to pull back, SRO, community, things of that nature, we can now look to restaff them, and we have those positions being posted right now. So last year, a major accomplishment for us, we achieved our Tier 3 accreditation. That was a significant undertaking by the administration. I'd like to give thanks to Deputy Chief Fapiano. He did a really good job being our accreditation manager. Basically, we had to rewrite every single policy that we had. Since I got here, we started working on that. A lot of places contracted out to do that, hired attorneys. We decided to do it ourselves. Mike did the accreditation manager training, and we received our formal accreditation this past September, I believe, from the state. So now we have to go on an active schedule where they come and they actually view proofs of these policies that we're following them, which we already started doing. So we're doing really good in that regards. I went over the staffing process. We streamlined our private duty operations. We went to a outside vendor for our private duty. So you'll notice with the Board of Finance, there's no more outstanding private duty balance. Right now, Jobs for Blue handles our scheduling, and billing. So every month, a check comes to the town for what the police officers work. We also increased our rates to be competitive with other towns, and we started charging accordingly for vehicles. So in comparison with other towns, we're right where we should be for charging, and we're actually we have increased our administrative fees, for all this road work that we're doing. Some specialized assignments and asset forfeiture utilization. So we have an officer assigned to the DEA Diversion Task Force. This officer was appointed 2 years ago.
Chief, some of us know what DEA stands for. And
Drug Enforcement
thank you.
Administration. So one of the problems that we have here in Seymour is overdoses and fentanyl, counterfeit pills, that sort of thing. The Drug Diversion Task Force is a federal task force comprised of federal agents and local task force officers that are there to combat this. So our officer there has initiated cases here in town. We've also been the recipient of a lot of asset forfeiture funds for that. So she just completed a case now where there's probably over $800,000 in assets sitting there waiting for forfeiture decisions, which we are entitled to a percentage of being on that task force. So there's a lot of benefits to doing this. Our board was approved this, a couple of years ago, and I hope when she comes out, we do it again. So using asset forfeiture, we were able to purchase brand new rifles we replaced all of our rifle inventory. We were up for a replacement. We used close to $40,000 to do that. We got rifles, suppressors, things that we need for the department at no cost to the taxpayer. So, and for labor stability, the union signed a 2-year contract extension, so we're good for another 2 years. It's good for us. I think it was a win for everybody to just extend this, and then we'll go into negotiations in a couple more years. As far as technology, if you recall, I went before you, the board, about a year and a half ago or a year ago for new body cameras. I can say that these are, hands down, that was the best thing that we ever done. The cameras that we had before were failing all the time, point of failure. These things are reliable. We have no issues anymore with body cameras. We're getting the video, the good quality video that we need. As part of our supervisors' responsibilities, they're to review 3 body camera incidents per month per officer. So it's our way of evaluating them, what they're doing. We're watching actually what they're doing. So that's something that we instituted, but it's working out really good. And just at an operational snapshot, some of the crimes that we deal with coming from 2024 to 2025. I picked some big ones. Aggravated assault in 2024, we had 6. 2025, we're down to 1. Burglary, which is a big one, We had 12 in 2024, down to 5. Drug violations, we had 9 in 2024. Because of enforcement, we had 17 in 2025. DUI kind of stayed steady, 62 in 2024, up to 69 in 2025. Larcenies went down 66 to 40, which is really good. And motor vehicle theft. We all know the problems with motor vehicle theft, juveniles stealing cars. I believe that because we are more proactive and we're doing more, our numbers went down from 27 to 13. So we have those. Motor vehicle stops, big. One of our priorities is to have our officers out there making motor vehicle stops, not necessarily taking enforcement all the time, but having that visibility and doing the motor vehicle stops. We went from 2,659 in 2024 to 3,188. So that's part of, we want our guys out there. That's actually pretty good for our staffing and what we have to deal with. Domestics, held very steady, from 53 to 54. And one unfortunate statistic that we had, murders in 2024 were 0, went up to 1 in 2025. We did make an arrest on that, and that's going to trial. So, in looking ahead, and I'm going to segue into our next part of it, which is the dispatch transition. But first before that is automated traffic enforcement. I have some meetings with some companies to look into various areas in town for automated traffic enforcement, speed, red light cameras, things of that nature. So that we'll be meeting with a company very soon to kind of hash out where we can put these and see what areas are eligible for that. So it's not where we want to put them, it's whether they are, whether the DOT approves, that area. So a couple of places we have, Maple Street, Holbrook Road.
That's right. Coming
Maple
for
Street's a
you.
big complaint. We have a lot of complaints on Maple Street.
Hopefully you won't go ask for comment anytime soon.
But that's just one of them. It's all based on accidents. It's all data driven.
Yeah.
It's not, it's and where we have the problems. So going into, before I move any further, does anybody have any questions about the police department? Anything I can answer? Oh, yeah. One other thing, we had a retirement this year, and we lost one canine, so we will actually be putting on another canine very soon. So
Okay.
we'll be back up to 2 canines. So.
I have a question. How do you manage any noise control issues?
So noise
Jumped right on it before I
complaint.
could.
We always get a lot of noise complaints. Actually, let's see. I could let me see if I could find. So we had 106 noise complaints in 2025. We go out and we listen. We try to ascertain. Go
Oh,
ahead.
Chief, just asking, so those are separate?
Those are
Complaints,
individual
unique.
noise complaints.
Right.
Yep. How we manage them? We take the call. We would respond. We would listen to see whether the noise for the time of day is reasonable, and if it was not reasonable, we could take enforcement action. There's a lot that goes into
Do you have
judging
the
whether
equipment
something is
to-
reasonable.
Do you have the equipment to judge what the decibels are?
We have an older one. It's not.
You have an older one?
Yeah.
A one?
No, a noise meter.
Okay.
Decibel meter.
There's one?
Was it? I think so. Just one? Yeah.
So whoever's going out has to grab,
They would have to grab
The noise meter?
Usually we don't. All right, and it depends on the type of noise that we're going to. If it's like a loud party where there's a lot of music or something like that, and I'm giving you examples from when I used to be on the road in Fairfield. I'll just say we had a lot of noise complaints for loud music, loud parties. We would judge by time of day whether the noise was reasonable. If somebody's playing their radio in their garage at 3:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday while they're working on their car, and their neighbor objects to the noise, well, obviously we're not going to make an arrest for something like that. If it's at 3:00 in the morning and they're waking people up, well, that's a different story.
But there's, to make an arrest, you would have to witness it yourself, right?
Yes.
Of those 106, is there any, so if you get these calls and common sense and your officers go out and use common sense, most of them are resolved.
Most of them are, yeah.
Out of those 106, are there any real repeat customers that we have an issue with, that you have to go out with the meter and that kind of thing?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I could tell you where we're getting with this. So,
We have,
Set up.
It's like a very
You're-
specific
you're
question.
so
Go ahead, spike the ball. Go ahead.
we have a noise ordinance coming up, and
Okay.
the noise subcommittee, the ordinance subcommittee thought and kind of decided it would be a great idea to hand this over to the Seymour Police Department, since you guys are the expert on this,
So-
and who better to write the ordinance than
So I-
those
I
that
will-
have
I
to
will
deal with
submit
this.
What
that
makes
we
sense?
we
I
do
mean-
not write the laws. We only enforce them. I'm gonna punt this football right back.
So,
well,
do
what-
you
you
follow
know,
our
Rex,
ordinance?
here we were looking for what makes sense.
Okay.
I mean, that's where, like,
So
because we,
I mean,
'cause we have
there's
decibel
a lot
levels
of
and time.
we go by
and-
state law. We go by state law. What's reasonable at the time of day, taking into consideration environmental fact, everything that you could think of, and the standard is just what a reasonable officer thinks at the time that they go, and everything is judged as reasonable.
But the
you know?
department would follow the ordinance if it's written a particular way, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so
The department would
we,
try.
Yes.
Try.
no, I understand. So I think the feedback Anne Marie's looking for, because we wouldn't know what decibel would be considered
And
reasonable
how
or
do you
not.
track it, and how do you measure
And
it,
how do you
are gonna
prove
stand
So
what
there
the
and
we would
let
have to
that
get
happen?
decibel meters. We would have to have them calibrated and make sure that they are accurate.
What is
the
this
problem.
noise meter that you have? And why do you only have one? Is it like $100,000 noise
No,
meter? Like,
no,
what
it-
is this thing?
Because they're really not used that
Yeah,
much.
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
On this maybe.
Maybe.
Most of the noise ordinances have been around a long time.
Yeah.
And they all were developed based upon a state model noise ordinance. And the program came out of, I was gonna say DEEP, but it actually came out of the DEP long before DEEP in terms of title. And they used to have a fellow who would go around giving presentations. And the state had one fellow trained in one device to be able to measure noise. One. And most departments that I'm aware of didn't even have one decibel meter, nor did they have people who were trained in how to use it to enforce the model ordinance. That's the history of it. And I'd have to look and see if that ordinance has been updated, if you will, suggested by the state, and if things have changed. But this all came out of DEEP, and in terms of decibel, and I'll leave it up to you,
As
Gene. You're the law
as
enforcement
far as our
official.
guidelines, I mean, I think that the general statutes are enough. You have creating a public disturbance, which is an infraction. You can elevate it if the if the noise is repeated or it's too much. You can elevate it to a disorderly conduct, by a summons, or if it's that egregious or it continues, you could bring the person in for disorderly conduct. So.
Yeah, you're hitting on that cross part where we're like we have decibel levels
Mhm.
in time that would require you guys to have to monitor that for it to even be
Correct.
enforceable.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know if that makes sense for you.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
Training was an issue with those
Yeah.
with that ordinance.
And there's a lot to.
Equipment and training.
And there's a
That
lot
was
to attack that on as
Right.
well. So, the calibration of the
Correct.
machine. It's very similar to like
Absolutely.
a radar unit or something where someone can actually, you have to produce the calibration and the calibration papers when you go to court. Make sure you test it before and after
That's
use.
my argument with the
and
ordinance. That's
it's,
why I
Yeah.
don't like it.
yeah.
It's tough for you
Should-
guys
so
to
you're-
enforce it.
You're recommending that we rely on the state statute? That it
It's
was
easier for us to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
and
They
it's,
don't mean- he
we're not
doesn't-
missing anything.
He doesn't mean the model statute that was recommended by the old DEP 100 years ago. He doesn't mean that one with the decibel numbers.
No.
Yeah,
No,
that's what we have now.
I
I
mean
like
state
what you
law,
were saying.
current state law.
Yeah.
Breach of peace, creating a public disturbance.
Right.
Disorderly conduct.
Disorderly conduct.
It covers it all.
Those.
It makes
Can
more
we get
sense.
copies of those, and would we need to copy them into our ordinance, or can we leave it per state statute?
Can I ask a
Since we're in
question?
Connecticut?
real quick. The ordinance, to look at the ordinance, and I agree with you 100% about the ordinance, but in Seymour, of 106 calls for noise, we usually get a call, it's usually a complaint-based call for noise, right? Somebody's complaining about the noise, and they go out, and your officers go out. Most of the time, it's resolved. Hey, if, you're out of
Yeah,
the
you
statute.
turn
Okay.
it down.
To bring charges for a noise ordinance, you'd have to witness it and record it and say it was X
And
amount
it
of
has
decibels.
to meet the exact requirements that we
Right.
put.
So I don't see I don't see the benefit for the ordinance, because it just throws more
Correct.
mucky muck into the,
The charge would be violation of the town ordinance,
Yes.
right?
It'd be a infraction for 7-148, which is a violation of any municipal ordinance, so. I think we're better off just letting officers use their discretion, their reasonableness. That's what they're trained to do. So, and if we have repeat offenders, we just deal with it. We can elevate the charges, from an infraction to a misdemeanor, and nothing says that we have to, if it's really that bad, the noise that's that bad, we don't have to start at an infraction. We can start with a misdemeanor
Right.
if it's that bad,
Right.
so, and we take every case as it comes in. So,
Can I ask one more question on that, and then
Sure.
we can move on?
Yeah.
What is per state statute, do you know what the time period is?
there
for
is
the-
no time period.
There's no time
It's all
period.
based on reasonableness.
It's all based on
Yeah.
reasonableness. Okay, thank you.
Well,
Everybody
Any
sit
other
with their
questions?
questions? Further
are
questions?
you
No?
walking away?
I'm not. No, I have a whole second part of this.
You made the mistake of saying, does anyone have any questions?
But no, I'll answer
So
any
far,
questions.
I did.
Well, I have one question for feedback, but you want me to, I'll just
Yeah,
wait till you're done.
go ahead.
You wanna go start now?
No, go
So,
ahead.
so very, very dear to my heart is this, consideration of the cameras and the speed control and the violations. And it's difficult for me to talk about this because every car, both directions on my street, every car, both directions, every day are exceeding the speed limit. And to help with the town and work, a majority of the accidents and problems and property damage and people getting hurt have to do with speed. A lot of it does, right? As a member of the Board of Selectmen, how can I possibly help to get something done? My original question would have been, is it a matter of budget, manpower, but with what's going on in other towns and the cameras and stuff like that, how can the people of Seymour or members of the board say, how can we help you? Because this would be a valuable, I don't think there's a person in town that wouldn't say this is something that really should get to the
So
top.
before we do this,
Yeah.
all right, so we have the ordinance on the books already.
Right.
That was passed. But before we do this, we actually have to have public meetings on it.
Okay.
So there will be an opportunity for people to come and put their input in. They certainly could email me or, get in touch with the deputy chief, the inspector, anybody at the police department, come to police commission meetings, voice their concerns on which roads that they have problems with. But this is not something that we're just going to sneak in, put somewhere.
But
and
the
then
ball
s-
is
and then-
rolling
and
for
then-
this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But we, there's got to be a lot of public, to satisfy the statute and the DOT, you have to have a public hearing on it. So, that includes the location, what type of enforcement we're doing, that sort of thing.
I was
So
surprised
none-
that by the DOT comment, that they have kind of.
they have the ultimate
governance.
authority.
Really?
Yeah.
That's,
Yes.
that's odd to me.
Yep,
Because
that's-
if you guys deem a area as bad or
Mhm.
suspect, right, you should be able to put it where you think it's required.
Yeah, it's the program's very new, so this just was passed in the last year and a half, I believe. So I think they're ironing out all of the kinks with
Is
it.
there a specific reason for that? Or
For
the DOT thing?
I think it just came out of DOT
because-
and their oversight. So people, you don't want to put it out there as a money grab.
Overuse, right?
An overuse and put this out there where you're really soaking residents. And the goal of it is to slow down,
Right.
and not to make money. So, and I think that's why they want the oversight over where you put it. You know, we're not gonna stick these cameras on streets where, you know, there's not a lot of traffic, or there's got to be a documented problem that we're looking to solve by putting those cameras there.
Yeah, but that would come out of Seymour Police Department.
That would come out of our
That's-
statistics, yeah.
That's why I don't, what
Yeah.
the DOT has to do with it.
They have the oversight.
And we have state roads.
I might understand that.
Yes, we do.
Any other questions?
No.
Carry on.
All right. So, going to future things. I'm going to call up Dave Martin from Northwest CMed. One of our future, you know, and since I've been here in the last 4 years, we've come to kind of like a crossroads with how dispatch is handled at the police department. I'm looking at it. Right now, we currently have one officer assigned each shift to sit and to answer 911 calls and to dispatch. It really is a very ineffective model. We are one of the last police departments in the state that actually does something like this, that has a sworn officer take calls and actually dispatch police cars. Right now, Northwest dispatches our fire and EMS. So, and just highlighting how inefficient this is, if you were to call 911 and that 911 call, you know, it will answer at our public safety answering point, which is the police department. So a police officer will pick up the phone, 911, what's your emergency? And if you say, my house is on fire, or my husband's having a heart attack, or I have a medical emergency, we have to transfer that call up to Northwest, and their dispatcher picks it up and does the same thing all over again. So it's a very inefficient model. And to now keep that model, so what I'm looking at and what I see that has been there for so long is none of our officers are certified as telecommunicators. They're cops, okay? None of them have emergency medical dispatch training. Very few have the training to operate the radio console or the 911 system itself. You know, they can answer the calls, they can do that, but there's a lot of new things that are coming down with 911, such as like text to 911, video to 911, that our guys just don't have the training for something like this, you know? And in not having the training and recognizing that, you know, we have a significant liability, you know, and we've had issues in the last, I would say, 1.5 to 2 years where we've had to discipline officers based on screw-ups in dispatch. And I just think that at this point, you know, there's 2 ways we could tackle this. We could train all of our officers to be telecommunicators. We could train them to have emergency medical dispatch and train them to go on the 911 system. That's cost prohibitive. You're talking close to $100,000 in just training costs in and of itself, plus the overtime to backfill, and then we have to have constant oversight of this to make it work. Plus, we're occupying an officer that could be out on the road. This is it's not an efficient use of our officers. You know, just plain and simple. I would love to have more officers on the road. You know, we gain an officer a shift. So, so what we've started looking into is getting rid of dispatch at the police department, transferring dispatch to Northwest. And we did look at other things such as hiring civilian dispatchers. That's cost prohibitive as well. We don't want to start taking on 7 or 8 more employees plus a director for something like that to oversee dispatch. It wouldn't work for a town this size. Plus, there is a big push by the state to consolidate dispatch centers. Some of you may be aware, I ran a project where we consolidated Fairfield and Westport together in a dispatch center. It's a lot of work. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that this is going to be a walk in the park. You know, there's going to be a lot of adjustment for us to do this, but it's something that I think is worthwhile that we do. Plus, it gets rid of liability. And that's the biggest thing that I'm looking at. I'm looking at the longevity for the police department, for the town. I mean, getting rid of dispatch liability in and of itself it's a huge win for the town. again, we free up an officer. There's a lot, there is a cost to it. I'm not going to sit here and say that there is no cost to it. We currently pay Northwest $121,344 a year for EMS and fire. Now, on an annual basis, that would go up, and I could let Dave. Dave is the director of Northwest CMed. I'll let him talk about a little bit about the place and why we kind of chose them. It would go up to $462,753 a year, and that's for police, fire, and EMS services. And Dave, if you want to say anything, I'll let you.
What I'll do is, it's a very high-level overview, not a lot of detail, but it gives you a little bit of an idea.
And we did, just so the board knows, we did run it by our board of police commissioners. They've sat through several presentations on, from various dispatch centers and kind of like the whole merits behind the system. And our board is, I hope, in favor. So they're in favor. So, and there's some things that we would have to change for us, as far as the biggest thing is a dark station. All right, that's everyone's biggest concern is that there won't be an officer in that front lobby. Nothing really will change as it is now, because right now that officer's behind. We have to have that office shielded. You can't see into that dispatch center because of collect rules and everything like that. So, transferring dispatch to Northwest, we would be eligible for a state grant of $300,000. That's a transition grant. Is it 300 or 350? 300. So it's $300,000. We could use that grant to upgrade our technology, upgrade our police department. So, say if somebody were to show up at the police department, walk in, and they were being chased by somebody, we would have a safe room that they can get in. Everything would be under video surveillance. They would pick up a phone. They would have a dispatcher right on the screen taking their complaint, and we would just call an officer in. It's being done in other police departments in Connecticut right now. It's not that heavy of a lift to do, and during the day shift, we still have officers there. And still, even in evenings, we still have officers that are inside the station should anything arise. Biggest thing for us would be prisoners, how we would monitor them, and we just have to come up with some policies and procedures for that. So I'll let Dave speak to just a little bit of it with the benefits of it, but if anybody has any questions after, just let us know.
Good evening, how's everyone? I'll try to catch up with the chief. You went through an awful lot. The handout I gave you, like I said, is very, very just cursory, high level. Staff and administration, I was the fire chief in Waterbury. I was on the job for 31 years. I was chief for the last 8. Our director has 42 years. Some of you might be familiar with Steve Savage. He's been around forever. He's sort of the communications guru in the state of Connecticut. You can see the ops director. Our supervisors, we have retired lieutenant from Wilton. The retired sergeant that ran the Waterbury Center is one of our supervisors. We have a pretty diverse group, police, fire, EMS. The way Northwest is set up, it's a 501c3 nonprofit. So every one of our customers gets a board, not a board seat, but a seat on a committee that elects the board of directors. You can see the breakdown of our board of directors: emergency management, state fire marshal, president or chief of Wilkin Ambulance. Your fire chief is on our board now. We have a CFO from Post University, currently is the president of Sentinel University. So we've really diversified police, fire, EMS, private sector. We're actually looking for an attorney to add to or an HR person to add to our, I don't want to put you on the spot, to add to the board as well, just to really round out the talent pool. If you go to the back side of the handout, the benefits, the chief kind of touched on it, and I'll be very honest with you. Chief Edwards has called me on more than one occasion, not very happy, because he hears a call go out and he hasn't been sent yet. He hears the police going. That's part of the inefficiency that Chief Buccarati referenced, is police get the call, they're already sending someone as the call's being transferred to us, and then we go through our protocols. We use priority dispatch, which is basically a script that leads to a lot of the indemnification. As chief of Waterbury, I'm not speaking out of school, this is all FOIable. When I was chief, we had a 7 and 8 figure lawsuit pertaining to dispatch. Our corporation counsel was the #1 driver behind Waterbury going to Northwest. She wanted it off her books, she wanted no part of the legal liability. You can also see to the right side, our insurance, the aggregate on the insurance is over $20 million a year. I hesitate to say it out loud, and I'll knock on wood. In the 15 years since Northwest took Waterbury over, whether it's a regional partner or Waterbury itself, there's been no litigation at all. That has a lot to do with using Priority Dispatch, which is the company that does our scripting. They actually offer legal assistance were there to be a lawsuit, as long as you're using their product properly. We also send over 50 calls out per week for quality assurance, police, fire, and EMS. That's an independent third party. I think our bill last year was upwards of $60,000 just for that. So it's nice to have an outside person tell you good calls, bad calls. We review those with the staff. If they're good, we review them if there's a problem as well. As far as the cost goes, the chief pretty much covered that. We already do your CMed, your EMS, and your fire. It would be adding the 911 direct answer. And I think you're in the 5,000, 5,500 911 per year range. We're obviously handling the police and fire end of that, which is, I'm sorry, police and fire and EMS end of that, which is probably, chief, I don't know, maybe 60%, maybe a little bit more than half the calls. You're also adding, I think, police have about 11,000 calls for service a year, so the officer-initiated calls, all those get added in, and that's what represents the additional cost is handling those. I don't know if anybody has any questions about Northwest. I'll just add it's been in existence since the 80s. It was kind of a small little mom and pop, literally in a Cape Cod house up in Prospect. There was a recognition in the mid-teens, 2000 teens, that the state had an appetite for regionalization, and Northwest recognized that and took on Middlebury Police. They were one of the first regional centers to do a police department, and then took on Waterbury, which was sort of a big take. I was the chief at the time. I can tell you I spent a lot of time on the phone with the director of Northwest at that time, giving her a hard time about an awful lot of the transitions. I'm happy to say that 10 years later, very few, if any, problems. We meet with the police department once a week, fire once a month. Very few issues. We currently do police for Middlebury and for Waterbury. Waterbury alone is 70,000 911s a year. It's a couple 100,000 calls, and that's. I'd like to say we do it with ease. We do have the room split. Waterbury kind of has its own group of people, and then the regional side, you would fall into the regional side. And there's a reconfiguration for our room in the event that Seymour comes. We're going to separate a police dispatch section alone for Middlebury and Seymour. So you'll have your own dedicated people, as well as the overflow that goes to the other 4 people that are doing the rest of the region.
How many
So-
people you have in total?
So it depends on time of day. We track time of day, day of the week volume. So normally during peak hours, there's 5 people on regional. There's a primary person that handles, that Seymour, Derby, and Sonia all fall to, we call it South. And then each person is designated as a backup. So if they're on a call, you've got 4 other people. There's also a supervisor that can put a headset on and jump in. Usually if you have a larger incident, supervisor will get involved. And we would be adding an additional police position to that. So you'll have anywhere from 4 to 6, depending on time of day.
Any questions besides Bob's?
John, what do you think it costs right now with an officer in dispatch on a yearly basis?
So, basically an officer's salary. So we, a grade A patrolman is about $89,000 a month. So you're looking at,
Times 4.2.
what's that?
Times 4.2 FTEs.
Yeah. So,
So,
yeah, and
Yeah.
benefits.
so
Yeah.
they're up over $500,000 probably.
Yeah. So, and we, looking forward, I'd like to use that officer for other things, possibly a second task
You
force,
said you're just gonna
possibly
put
a.
them on the road, so this 341's gotta,
What's
we
that?
gotta find where the money's coming from.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I understand that, it's just, either way, we have to do something, and I feel that we're at that point right now where we have to do something. Whether it's, to me, this is the kind of no-brainer, to do something like this and to get rid of that liability and to take that officer and put them where they're supposed to be. You know, like I said, the other option is training everybody or looking into civilians. But honestly, that, you know, with civilians, we'd be incurring quite a big expense with that, and we would not get any sort of state subsidies. Usually with dispatch centers, based on your population, now the Northwest is a regional center, they're eligible for quite a bit of state funding for their center. So if we were to just open up, say, a dispatch center here in Seymour, you know, and we're going to do our own police, fire, EMS, we would get nothing from the state for something like that because we just don't have the call volume. Even if we were to consolidate, say, with Ansonia or bring, I'm just saying for lack of a better, Oxford or something, we still don't have the call volume or anything to get any sort of reasonable state subsidy. And it's just not worth it to do.
I agree with Bob, we have to figure the money situation out, but one big lawsuit can cover this. So
To measure the success of this would be what? If we improve response time, or if response time
Yeah,
stays the
think-
same, or what if
You know,
response time
I
goes
think
down?
measuring success would be better customer service. I mean, we would definitely get that. I have no doubt about that. You know, utilizing that officer in another area. So one of my supervisors had an idea of creating a separate traffic task force just to do traffic
yes,
problems,
yes,
just to, you know, to your point, you know, if I could assign an officer, a dedicated officer who's outside of the rotation to different times to hit on traffic points. Somebody has a complaint. We send out these two guys and we could put together a traffic unit with something like that. So these are the types of things that I want to use that officer for instead of just sitting there answering a phone.
Right, so that, you take that from the total cost, there's a value in that, I
Yeah.
understand that, I see the picture you're painting.
Yep.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. The no officer at the station,
Yes.
I could see that being a hard sell to some people in town.
Agreed.
Older people and stuff like that. And when the people of Seymour call the routine number for the police department, the person that's handling that call deems it's more of it should be elevated to an emergency call, then we switch it to Northwest
So,
again.
routine call, I'm gonna let
But
Dave
routine
speak to the
calls that
dark
get
station.
elevated, say.
Routine calls, so if someone calls my office, I'm gonna answer the phone, right? If somebody were to call the main line, Northwest would answer the phone.
Okay,
So
so
if it
okay.
turns into, I'm calling the non-emergency line, but this is really an emergency, they will dispatch it right away. No transfer required. And as far as the dark station, I'll let Dave.
Sure, so two things. Most departments have either glass blacked out or mirrored anyway. People really don't know who's behind there. Middlebury is who we answer for. They have a dark station. So Waterbury, for example, there's two officers there because it's obviously a larger department. Ironically, if you go to the front desk at Waterbury, the two officers point to a phone on the wall, and when you pick it up, you talk to our people at Northwest. You don't talk to the two officers behind the glass. Middlebury, when it goes dark, what we did, and it's part of the build-out, is you come and there's a doorbell. If that scenario of someone's chasing you, we buzz them in. It's a secured vestibule. The door behind them's locked, but they also can't get into the station any farther. They have a phone. We immediately can talk to them. We have them on video. We can call an officer and off the road. We also have remote access to the Sally Port. If they're pulling up with a prisoner, we can open the doors. This just happened in the last 6 months. We had one of our people picked up with a lieutenant in Middlebury running down the hallway. It was during the day, and called to make sure everything was okay. No one answered the phone. They immediately called someone on the road. They came in. Ironically, he ran down the hall. They answered another call because somebody else was on the phone, but we were able to see that. It was a security measure for them, an additional set of eyes. But the dark station, if you ask most officers or most chiefs, that scenario of someone being chased and running in, most have never incurred that in the course of their career. So it doesn't mean that it can't happen, but it's incredibly improbable. But there is a mechanism for that when they get there. There's a way to get in, and it's probably, no offense, more secure than right now, because when they walk in your police station now, they're open to the whole building. Here they're sequestered in one area, locked in, and can't get any farther.
And that's where that transition grant will come
Right.
into play and help us kind of redesign the lobby, get that video equipment that we would need, so it's very seamless. If they're picking up a phone, they're gonna have a person on the screen talking to them. And also, you know, for the dark station during the day, all of us are still there. So there's administration there, records is still there, records is open till 5 o'clock, so there's still somebody sitting out in front there. It's just usually in the evening and the midnight hours where we would have that dark station.
In other words, your station locked at night?
No, not the front door. So we would change some things around, you know, with that.
Oh, we also have to talk about, so those are all the pros going into a $300,000+ a year bill. I understand that the original is, let's just, for like, it was 121, but you're looking at an increase anyway,
Correct.
right? From what we are using, the fire and EMS. So then, minus that, it's still pretty significant
It's a significant,
increase.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
The new model cost is $17,139 times $27. Or what are those numbers?
So it's population. So
Okay.
the rates are based on population, so if
Okay.
you look at the breakout, you're paying 40 cents per capita for CMed, and then another $6.67 for the EMS and the fire dispatch. So it's those two, and that, you know, that's one of those things during negotiation, we can lock in a price for a certain amount of time. The rest, generally, the customers, it goes up and down with your population. So if it goes up a little bit, you pay a little more. If it goes down, you save a little bit. Usually, you know, like, just as an example, we've just re-signed with Middlebury for 3 years with three-year renewals, and they're locked in regardless of population fluctuation for the first 3 years.
I was gonna ask that, so contractually, you can have multiple years independently of what the,
We generally do 3 with a set amount of renewals.
Right.
And then with Middlebury, there was actually no limit to, they'd raised Middlebury twice, dollar per capita for what appeared to me, I just took over a couple of years ago, appeared to me for no apparent reason, so I bumped them back to their original price as a good faith gesture and locked them in for the first 3-year term with a consumer price index multiplier for any future increases. So there's a limit to what can be increased. Before there was nothing. You could go and say, well, $5 an hour more. And to set up your own dispatch center is obviously very expensive, so they've done away with theirs. It's a meeting room now, and, you know, it wouldn't be practical. So in the interest of protecting them as well, we put a limit in terms of what any increases could be. Just to speak to the civilianization too, a little bit of a different animal. When we were looking at this in Waterbury back at around 2013 and 14, we did a nationwide study. It is a little different than Seymour. We did population of 100,000 and more to relate it to Waterbury. But there were only 2% of all those cities nationwide did it with uniformed personnel, and we were one of them. We had uniformed fire, uniformed police. It was all done civilian or third-party outsourced. Or, you know, you go through the Midwest and places like that, it's county-based, but it's still civilian. So it is more common to do it with civilian. I wasn't a fan of losing the uniform people, I'll readily admit that, but the Northwest does a much better job than my firemen did. If you listen to some of the old recordings, it was a little bit embarrassing at times. So there is a higher level of professionalism. I can't speak to Seymour currently, but you know, certainly no detriment to my fire guys, but the civilians we have now do a much better job.
Any other questions?
What's the next step?
I believe we have to go to the Board of Finance for,
I would believe we
Budget.
would.
how do we fund?
Well, I mean, conceptually, do we need to accept this before it goes to the Board of Finance?
No, it's really it's
really.
a discussion.
Look at it from a P and L standpoint.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a discussion, there's no action needed tonight. It's really to hear what they have to say, give back our feedback, what our thoughts and our opinions are of it, and then they'll go to the Board of Finance. And
Sounds great.
if you think of any other questions and you're, please come see me or give me a call. I mean, I'd be happy to answer everything.
I'd also invite anyone if you want a tour. I know, you know, Chief Edwards has come, Chief Bucrati's come a couple times. If anybody had interest in looking at the center, we're located in St. Mary's Hospital, which was a strategic move. It's got double generator backup, it has on-site security. If we're stuck there for days in a storm, there's a cafeteria with food, obviously being a hospital. So it's worked out, really well.
How many municipalities, I'm sorry, how many municipalities does Northwest, cover right
So it depends on what you talk about. So CMed, we have 28 customers. I believe we have 14 fire, we have 16 EMS, 2 PD. So it depends on, there's
All in our immediate area,
so-
geographically
So
speaking?
geographically, for CMed, we go down to Brookfield as far as Meriden, Reading, Woodbury, Roxbury, that direction, through the valley, down to all the way to Sunny Derby, obviously Seymour. Naugatuck, those are all CMed. Different, it's weird combinations. For example, Naugatuck, all we do is the Naugatuck ambulance in CMed. We don't do fire, we don't do police, we don't answer 911. As opposed to Middlebury, we do police, fire, EMS, and CMed. Woodbury is a state trooper, so we answer 911. I'm sorry, they're not, they have their own PD. We answer 911, fire, and EMS. So it depends on the municipality, but in total, CMed is everybody is CMed or only CMed. That's a total of 28.
And then you
Okay.
mentioned to be on the board,
So there's a corporate membership for each customer. So you sit on the corporate board, and then the corporate board meets once a year to elect the board of directors. That's the breakout you have on the sheet is the actual board of directors, and they're who I answer to. They're the ones who do the governance. And again, we have a CFO as a treasurer. I mean, we've tried to really, the board was all emergency services. We're trying to diversify a little and get some other talent in here as well.
If you're able to, when it's time for the police department to meet with the Board of Finance, if you're able to be there with Chief
Absolutely.
Bugarati, that would be a benefit.
And if there's value, I've met a few times with DSET, which is the governing body of the state of Connecticut. They're very excited. They really want to push regionalization. The Speaker of the House, Jason Rojas, is a big advocate. He actually had a bill on the agenda last year, never ended up getting called. But I've met with him numerous times too. That's where the $300,000 grant comes from. It's to incentivize and to cover the cost. There's obviously a lot of, as the chief said, a lot of technology. You're probably going to need upgraded cameras. You're going to need to, have a little more. I mean, in Middlebury, we have the firehouse is connected to the police department, so we actually have the whole fire department is under video surveillance. Police department, if they have prisoners, we're not obligated to watch the prisoners, but it's on the screen. I gave you the story of the lieutenant running down the hall. I mean, it's not a dedicated person staring at a screen, but the room is very aware, and you have a lot of set of eyes. God forbid anything moves on. There's, you have another whole layer of people watching, what's going to happen.
I think emphasis on what we're getting, what we would be getting, and quantitative things like response time and improvement of this, that, and the other, and that officer being freed up and the value of that is going to be very important because in this day and age, a $300,000 expenditure is a very tough sell.
Understood.
You know what I mean? As long, do you really need a fur coat or is it the best coat in the world? You know what I mean?
Do you see any other costs associated with doing this, upgrades? I mean, is $300,000 gonna cover what you need to do?
300 should cover. We're not upgrading our radio system or anything like that.
But you're gonna have to move it all and,
No, not necessarily. We would probably keep what we have where we are. In this day and age with fiber optics.
okay,
I mean, they just our console interfaces with Fire. They have every. It's a matter of just getting our console up there, patching everything in. So it's. I don't see that as being a huge expense.
We may need a fiber line as a redundancy. We like double or triple redundancy, so there may be something else that we would put in, but usually that's something.
if you had to open up the EOC, how does that work with dispatching and,
We could still open up our EOC in
I
the
understand
police
you can
department.
do that, but, I mean,
So we would
they continue
probably just
dispatching, or-
we could teleconference, have a dispatcher right on. It's no different than what we did during the flood when we were
Right.
calling fire. Mostly that was a fire incident, and so we were on the phone with them, and Chris was there and in radio communication with them. So there's very little there's very little picking up and moving things out. We would still maintain our console at headquarters. If, God forbid, something happened at Northwest where we had to get on the radio right there, we would still have that ability.
Just in terms of patching, I'll just illustrate an example, I'll use Middlebury. Middlebury does fireworks like Glossbog every year. They actually have Naugatuck come in, Naugatuck Police, to do the event. We can patch state police, Naugatuck, Middlebury, police and fire all together on one channel, and they can all communicate as you're talking on them, but just bring them all together. So we really, that lift is not a big one. Again, the upgrades for the cameras and things like that are,
That sort of ability, though, the patching and that thing, that's where right now we're lacking. And there's maybe one or two guys who know how to use that radio console and patch these things together and get us a channel if we need one, where most guys just know how to talk on our channel. So it's
we did it with a shooting at the mall in Waterbury. We had multiple agencies in, state police, who were able to just patch them all together on an incident scene.
And, you mentioned regionalization, and that is what the state of Connecticut is looking for. They are looking for the regionalization,
their goal is to, shut down as many public safety answering points as possible. Us in Massachusetts are the only two states that really have a lot of individual towns answering their own 911 calls. You go to bigger states, there's one or two centers that all 911 calls fall into.
Or at least county-based.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not, this model is, it's very
It's
expensive
not
to
new.
maintain for the state
Right,
too.
yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for
very
having me.
much. Again, if anyone is interested in the tour the chief has, I can give you my card, or chief has my contact. We'd be happy to
Any
have you.
questions, anything, give me a holler.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Alright. Ordinance from the, updates from the ordinance subcommittee on the Housing Authority. Attorney Bertula, State of Connecticut, lovely, passed the new housing bill that takes place in 2028. But we have to come up with a housing authority. Could you give us? Some feedback on that. I mean, I could ad lib it in. Basically they're doing away with the Affordable Housing Commission and committees, and they're making it a Housing Authority Commission, not to be confused with the Seymour Housing Authority. Right, now the Seymour Housing Authority is the Seymour Housing Authority. This Housing Authority is for the renters, and it's a fair housing authority. It helps with the landlord issues, it helps with the rent issues, and we have to have one put in place by 2028. So,
This is a version of the fair rent.
yep,
And this came out of that House bill.
correct.
This is the House bill that became a law
Mhm.
in the special session.
Yep,
And there also has to be a plan.
yes.
Now, most of those plans are being done by the COGS.
The COGS are taking on a lot of the work.
So, we look at this, or if people going to do it, definitely have to do it.
We have to do it, there's not
We have
going to.
do it, But I think we should probably by an ordinance.
Well, that's what the regulation states, so we have to push this onto the ordinance, and I hate to use the word push it on, but we have to get the proper wording so that we can send it over to the ordinance committee, so the ordinance committee could start working on the ordinance, so we have it in place before this law takes it into effect in 2028. So I would like to have a motion to move move forward to the ordinance committee, the housing authority.
So moved.
Who do you need?
Oh, you
Can't
have to
hear
speak up.
Rich because the microphone is too far away from
You
him.
must be speaking very quiet.
How about now?
Probably, he's
What?
upstairs. Yep. So, can I have a motion to move forward to the ordinance committee, a housing authority?
Make a motion to move the housing authority to the ordinance committee.
Motion by
That's a
Trish.
first, Rich, that's a first.
Motion by Trish, second by Al. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Review and discussion, the senior citizen tax incentive, it was brought up in the ordinance committee, why is it still on here? It's to keep it on the forefront. We are actually waiting for session to start in Hartford so that we can get our state rep and senators in on this, to have them looking at what can be done at the state level for a senior citizens tax incentive. What else could be done? Because what was proposed to us, we cannot do. We can only do what the state allows us to do. The noise ordinance, as you know, we had pushed that over to the police department, and they basically said you have to look at the state regulations, so it gets punted back to the ordinance committee, so that will come back to.
They're basically saying, I just wanna make sure everybody here understands, what they're basically saying is they're asking you not to really take any action creating a noise ordinance with a decibel meter. They
Correct.
don't wanna do that. They're basically saying they have enough tools in the state penal code under, creating a public disturbance, breach of peace, and disorderly conduct to address, situations as they arise.
On a reasonableness standard,
Basically,
on a reasonableness standard, and leaving them up to their training.
leave it up to
Do
their
we have-
training and experience.
Right.
Now, do we have to take it out of our ordinance?
I would take the decibel
Right.
readings out.
It's in there
Yeah,
Yeah.
today.
yeah, that
Right.
needs to go, Bob. Bob, it's ancient.
I know.
Yeah, it's
That's
ancient.
why
It's
I
an
was trying to
ancient
point.
ordinance
Yeah,
that was
it's like
foisted upon
40 years old.
all municipalities by the then DEP, and eventually the DEP's program to encourage this was sent to one guy with 1 meter, and
No, I'm getting to the action. I wanna get it out, cause I don't think it makes sense.
if you wanna take it out, then we should do a repeal it. And that would be an ordinance as well, you just
Okay.
repeal the ordinance.
Yeah.
I agree. Time.
Or
It's my
just-
vote.
Or can you just reword it to say follow state statute?
I think Bob's talking about the specific language, talking about
language,
use
yeah,
of
yeah.
a
That's it,
meter.
that we have
Get the
now.
language out.
Yeah.
You
Right.
wouldn't do that, Scott, that's
Okay.
why I brought this up, you wouldn't do that because you wouldn't have an ordinance saying, do not create a breach of peace, do not create a public disturbance, and do not engage in disorderly conduct, because those are parts of the state penal code.
Yeah, they already exist.
And they exist already, and they're tools that the police use
So just
to address.
repeal
You
the
just
whole,
repeal the
Right.
ordinance. Because I would say to you, I wonder if they can hear me. I would say to you, you probably cannot find the last time that decibel meter was used, and,
That's what I struggle
a citation was issued under the
Because of it.
ordinance.
Because of it,
with. Right.
Yeah.
through its use. Yeah.
How it's used.
Yeah.
And let me just say this, I don't know if you caught what I said, that would be violation of a town ordinance, that's an infraction.
So,
Yeah, he said it. He quoted it. He said 4189 or whatever he quoted. Yeah.
I'm just gonna mention, Steve, you might wanna have Rich's microphone checked out, cause they still can't hear him, and he's speaking loud enough with the microphone right in front of his mouth.
Why don't you take Brianna's for the time being?
I am just very soft-spoken.
Such a wallflower.
But you carry a big stick.
Such a
A little bit better, but not great.
So as far as being an agenda item for Board of Selectmen, so we just, because it says review, discuss, and possible action, we could just take it off of this?
Well,
And then if we want to, the ordinance committee could take it up under the consideration that was made?
No, we'll send it back to the we'll send it back to the, ordinance committee to do a repeal of the ordinance.
Okay, so,
You need to do an ordinance to get rid of an ordinance,
Yeah.
okay,
believe it or not.
right.
The repeal is an ordinance.
That's why they keep it in. It's like looking at a state statute repealed in 1998, so you
That's
know
right.
where the hell it went.
That's right.
What happened to it? And then you can investigate it if you want.
Can I have a motion to send the noise ordinance back to the ordinance committee for a repeal?
So moved.
second.
Motion by Bob, second by Phil. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Disabled veterans exemption, we are waiting for Attorney Bertula to get us information.
I'll forward 2 draft ordinances for your consideration to take a look at.
Okay. And we'll have that for our February 2nd meeting.
Yes.
They said it's much better now. The firefighter, that is going to be on February 2nd. 2026 at our next ordinance meeting. And the vehicle booting, can I have a motion to, we don't need a motion, we're just not gonna do anything with that.
You just don't carry it on your agenda next month.
Right. Okay,
Um,
yes.
Just have a gut feeling that the firefighter thing may be a lengthy discussion. Maybe we should have consideration for just the 60 minutes, otherwise we're gonna go into the next meeting.
I don't expect
I
I don't expect it to be a long
But-
discussion.
Okay.
We had the long discussion already.
But we won't, I mean, we'll really only have the firefighters and the senior citizens, really. And the noise is gonna be quick, shmoosh.
And then we'll review the veterans.
And we'll review the veterans. I think an hour will be fine,
Okay.
but thank you for the consideration,
It's
yeah.
fair taking into consideration, but
Yeah,
Let's
But
call
the-
consideration.
Yeah, well, that's up
I-
to the meeting facilitator too, Phil,
Yeah.
if she wants to move it along.
I think we saved those for the last one. We saved that for the last. We do the other ones because we know those are gonna be quick, and then we go down to the.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, that's it. All right, any other questions on ordinances? No? All right, public comment, is there any public comment? Public comment going 2 times, public comment going 3, no public comment. Select person comments, we'll go with Scotty first.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
With regard to the workers' comp in town here.
Mhm.
It seems like we're only able to use, and this goes for all of the town employees, Concentra, medical facilities
Okay.
for workers' comp. And I know we use Griffin Hospital Ahmed for physicals and, actually basically just for physicals and drug testing. And I'm wondering why or where can we go to get answers to possibly use somebody more local than Concentra, which is Stratford, New Haven, Waterbury. There's no Concentra in the valley.
We could, ask HR and benefits as to why, why we can't use Griffin Hospital
Okay,
occupational
okay.
for that, or someplace closer.
So far, 2 departments have asked me to approach the subject, and honestly, I just
I
remembered.
would ask HR, right?
Yeah.
So, okay,
I will ask Chris Pelosi, I'll put that in,
Start the discussion.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if it's a cost factor,
I'm guessing it
and
is.
if it
but
is, I could
Chris will know.
probably work some of that, because I have a really strong contact with Griffin Hospital.
alright, I'll, put an email out to Chris Pelosi tomorrow and I'll copy you on it.
Okay.
How's that? Okay,
The other thing I have is just with the weather that's coming up, the coldness, everybody just stay indoors. If you need assistance, call out for it. Be safe, and utilize the snow brigade if you need them.
yeah. They're awesome.
That's all I have.
Good kid.
Thank you.
No, we do have a potential for a big storm this weekend, that's all. I was gonna say the same thing, just be prepared, just, start now, be prepared, because the weekend comes up quick. So, put some food together and make sure you have a plan to make sure you can move the snow.
Thank you. Trish?
I'll ditto, but I do not have anything else, so.
Yeah.
Just say our public works did a great job with our storms. Our garbage pickup has been right on time and consistent. I think we're running on all cylinders this winter, and I think we'll be ready for this upcoming storm, but people have to use common sense, and let's go from there. But good job to our public departments. They're really doing a great job this winter.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I just want to add on to Scott's comments that it's important that being part of community is taking care of ourselves so that we can keep an eye on our neighbors too, because we all need help sometime, and we all got to watch out for each other, and I think that's an excellent sentiment, not just in storms, but all the way down the road.
Speaking of the storm, Code Red website is back up. As you know, we had the Code Red system was hacked. Not our system, their system was hacked. So we have a new system, and they just backed it up yesterday. They imported and exported our people that were signed up for original one. So we have a meeting with them, a phone meeting with them, so we can learn their system all over again. We found out that our website, you can get on to look at our minutes and agenda on a computer, but when you go onto your phone to look at our meetings, to look at minutes, to look at the agendas, it doesn't pick up on the Apple, and that's a gig on their website. It has nothing to do with us, so they are looking into that. There's been as you know, we're taking down Land Bank has taken down the Kinneytown Dam. Letters went out to residents as well as to the town of Seymour, stating that people have encroached onto their property because the Land Bank and NBCOG purchased the property from the Kinneytown Hydraulics. So I did receive a couple of phone calls from residents concerned because, they had taken out permits to have pools or patios or barns or garage put on their property. And I got an email today stating that Rick Dunn has fielded all responses and concerns regarding the notices that were sent out. And in case where the encroachment does not impact the ability to complete the project, increase liability, or pose danger to public safety, we intend to allow the encroachments to remain through a revocable license, and currently there's no legal actions foreseen. So as you know, the river is down lower in the dam, but there's some property above that Kinneytown actually does own because they owned the piece of property there, and the town had given out permits going back 30, 40, 50 years for this. And Kinneytown's like, well, that's really, NVCOG's were like, that's our property. But it has nothing to do with the dam coming down. It's not going to be infecting it. So it's going to allow them to keep their barns and their sheds and their garages and their pools. So that's kind of the good news. And we don't have to move our pump house because we have a pump house on Derby Avenue that's actually on their property. So that was kind of good. We had our budget summit. I've heard the department's budget meetings start on February 9th. The workshops start on February 9th. They will be live streamed. So they are open to the public. They will be live streamed. There will be no questions asked through the live stream. You can watch, but if you have questions for the department heads, because the department heads are going to be presenting their budget, now is the time to come down and ask the department heads questions on their budget. There will be a meeting before it goes to open comment again, where you can again ask your questions and give your feedback. So this budget process is really open to the public. No one should be coming out the day of the budget hearing and saying, well, I think it should be lower, when everybody has a chance and the opportunity to give their opinions to the Board of Finance, because there's plenty of meetings, and the schedule will be updated and put out to the website.
Has those budgets, have they been sent to you already?
No, they have not. They don't. They go to the town clerk on January 30th, and then the Board of Finance will get their books on February 9th.
And again, I think I'm sorry, I know it's not like commenting time, but I'm gonna say the Board of Finance should have copies of the strategic plan, and our department heads need to tie what they're presenting to their strategic plan.
They presented their budgets in our
We
subcommittee.
really need the Board of Finance to understand how that works and how they're tied.
As everybody talked about the cold weather, it is pretty cold out there right now. Thursday is a thaw, 40 degrees. Feel like we're in Florida maybe. So we'll have a thaw, but prepare, because they are saying that we are going to get hit with another polar vortex. I am not going to doom and gloom and say, oh my God, we're going to get hit with a 2-foot snowstorm. They are saying that we are going to get storms, snow coming in. So please be prepared. It seems as if all these stinking snowstorms are hitting us on weekends and on holidays, so it is really affecting our budget. I'm not going to lie about that. It's affecting our overtime budget, and it feels like we've gotten more snow this year so far than we have in the years past. So I feel like I'm reliving the year of 2013 all over again.
Take it easy.
Huh?
Take it easy. That was a terrible year.
Yeah, that was a terrible year. But if you are having an issue, if you cannot clear your sidewalk, if you know someone who cannot, please reach out to Kate Halligan. She's in charge of the snow brigade, and those kids come out, and the families come out, mothers, fathers, kids, young kids. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, they're all coming out and they're helping shovel. So I talked about that. Our fire chief ordered these first alerts. They're through HazAlert to go on our fire trucks. I think we got 3 in now. The ideal is to put them on all our trucks. What it is these HazAlerts, it's a box and it plugs into the lights and sirens on the fire truck. And when the fire truck is going, if there's a fire truck up ahead of you or in back of you or in the area, you know, we're driving, we hear the sirens as long as our music is not on too loud. We hear the sirens coming and we don't know where they're coming from. What it does is it will pop onto your phone if you're using Google Maps or on your car navigation. It works with Apple Maps, Google Maps, Waze, a couple other apps where it will flash onto your screen for anything like 2003 older vehicle, or was it 2023 an older vehicle? What year did he say? I want to make sure I get that right because I hate misspeaking. 2023 car, it will flash onto your screen on the car or onto your phone to tell you that you're coming up to a fire truck and move over, or a fire truck is coming over behind you, move over, or you're approaching it. And what this does is it allows the car enough time to move over, but if a firefighter or firefighters trucks are on scene, it's saving them. It's preventing them from getting injured from people not moving over. We've seen too many fire people, police people, DOT workers that have gotten injured from people not moving over. So I think that's great. Those are going to go in our fire trucks as well as our chief's vehicles. I got that. There's a DEP and DESPP meeting next week in regards to Holy's Pond. The elderly disabled home tax assessment will be available February 1st at the tax assessor's office. Please get the form and fill it out. The appeals form for those wishing to appeal their car taxes or their home taxes website is going to be on the assessor's website as well. Please print that off, fill it out. If you are appealing your taxes or wish to appeal your taxes, that form must be into the assessor's office by February 20th with all the proper documentation as to why you feel your car is not worth that or your home is not worth that. You must submit all that information with all the documentation by February 20th. And then they're going to give you a meeting date for the abatement in March. If you cannot make that meeting date, or you know because you go someplace away, please send in, I cannot make the meeting, but I give so-and-so permission to attend this meeting for me and speak on my behalf. But all that information has to be into the tax assessor's office by February 20th. I can't emphasize that date enough, because that is a date. If it's received after February 20th, or because it's a Friday and they close at noontime, they're not going to take it on that Monday. You have to have it in by the 20th. Again, they'll give you a date for March. They give you the date, they give you the time. You cannot reschedule that date or time, and please make sure you show up for that. Your appointment's going to be coming in the mail, snail mail. They're not going to text it, they're not going to call you, they're not going to email you. They're going to send it through the United States Postal Service. You'll have that date. Please bring that letter, plus all your supporting documentation and all the documentation that you sent in to that meeting. We just had the grand opening for the fitness zone. On the 17th, we're doing Valley Pharmacy. And that's it. And with that, I say, meeting adjourned.
Good night.